Councillor Todd.
Thanks very much. This is a very handy situation where we can challenge the leader. Late last year at Cabinet, you increased the number of Cabinet members who were monitoring Lampton from 1 to 3. Okay, well, if you believe in what I'm saying, that's a fact. I'm happy to show the documentation. But the whole idea was that, in our view and many others, that Lampton wants a far more aggressive and robust oversight and governance. The committee you sit on, the shareholder meeting which deals with Lampton, you attended a meeting in February, but the meeting in June was not held. Interestingly enough, in June, your head of finance signed a single member decision requesting £100,000 to get independent accountants to come in to do an oversight of Lampton as their business plan. He was concerned about the business plan. He was concerned about their lack of any income. I'm using a very loose term there. It's not making a profit. And more concerning was that it appeared from the papers that had been in the Cabinet papers late last year that in order to achieve progress, this group of companies required more money. Now, why am I raising it now? Because we'll see in these papers that the Lampton entities, if I can call it that, leader, borrow a lot of money. And I think it's fair to say that your head of Treasury has some reservations about one or more aspects of the finance. And indeed, you have put a block on additional funding without a business case being made to the head of finance. That's in the report now. So what I'm really saying now is, would you give us an update as to what's going on at Lampton? I see, by way of example, that Mandy Skiller is now going to be running for 3 days a week. Was the move by the head of finance to seek £100,000 to check the accounts done with your endorsement? Was it discussed? And any other issue that you feel we should know? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Todd. Would anyone else like to comment? Councillor McGregor.
I noticed the concern evinced by the Mayor at my standing up. The way she announced my name was one of trepidation and hopefulness, a combination of the very nicest kind. So, Madam Mayor, welcome to your first meeting. Such a pleasure to see you in position. In terms of the Treasury statement, well, there are concerns, partly because, of course, the Cabinet meeting wasn't held, so we couldn't see substantial values in other directions. So that is a paper which is actually there for our use. Presumably, it is subject to no public display. But the important thing about what we're looking at tonight is I've got some very great concerns. We've got some interesting numbers here. Let's start off with page 257, and it's paragraph 3.22. And it states here that there's additionally prompt payments for services from the council has supported the cash position of the subsidiaries. That's, of course, we're referring still to our trading company, taxpayer shareholder owned, which is in trouble. And the trouble is they actually get prompt payments. Does this involve favoritism? Does this mean that other people are not being paid promptly? And that would be a matter I would pick up with the auditors at the earliest possible opportunity if I'm not given satisfaction this evening. So, preferential terms. This is not a good idea. They're not meant to be some sort of charity, unlike CIL, which I managed to demolish some 15 years ago. So when we look at what goes on, turn over the page to 325, paragraph 325. Total closing balance for the Lampton concerns, £387,763,000. I would like a confirmation from the lead member for finance, who is also the leader of the council tonight, that £387,783,000 has asset cover, that there is no insolvency, that there is no liquidity problem, that there's no liability on the taxpayer to make up any shortfall in that sum. And if I don't get a satisfaction, I shall then be reporting this to the external auditors with a comment from my side. If you'd like then to turn on to page 260, paragraph 3.33, policy on the use of external service providers is the heading. We use the services of Link Asset Services. Yeah, they're known to me. Not professionally, but they're known to me. Question then is, could the lead member for finance, also the leader of the council, please tell us what they actually do? And I'm not asking to see a contract with them, because that would probably be commercially confidential between the two parties, and I appreciate that confidentiality. But we need to see substance. What do they actually do? Are they there to ensure that we have the linked asset, which I'm talking about, to cover our liabilities? And the worrying thing for me, with my public administration background, is I see dark clouds. We're not getting to grips with Lampton. Yes, they're outside. We're not getting to grips with Lampton. We're not getting the turnover plan. It's a reflection of my comments in January at the budget proposals, and then again in March at the budget meeting. I was concerned then. I have deeper concerns now. The new finance director is probably suffering from what is called in the accounting profession a concern subject to the heebie-jeebies. In other words, he's asked for £100,000 to be spent on outside consultants to confirm his fears. We have had no further word from the Borough Finance Director on that matter. So this evening's meeting is not before time to assess what's going on here. If the leader can satisfy me, I'll be more than pleased, because it means we have safety for Hounslow. If the leader cannot satisfy me, the reverse is true, and we might have to take Hounslow apart brick by brick.
Thank you, Councillor McGregor, I think. Would anyone else like to speak? Otherwise, would Councillor Rajawat like to sum up?
Councillor McGregor, I spend a rather large amount of my time satisfying you on this one. There you go. There you go. I could have gone there. I went there. Right. Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to respond on a couple of things. Councillor Todd, you will be aware that a number of changes have happened in the governance and oversight between the council and Lampton. Those are all in the public domain. Those have all gone to cabinet. So those are well rehearsed. And I'd ask you to refresh your memory on those. That includes a shareholder committee made up of 3 councillors. That is not me putting 3 people in to overlook a Lampton. That is part of the governance structure that is in place, and that, in my opinion, works very well. The review that you mentioned, I think, is a prudent step for a new section 1